She was disabled, but her strength lay in never giving up. That day, a police officer dragged her out of her car, ignoring her fear and the growing crowd. What happened next turned her into a symbol of resistance against injustice. This story will leave you speechless. Let's go back to where it all began. Sarah Thomas was a 38-year-old black woman whose life was defined by courage and resilience. Living with a disability didn't weaken her spirit, it strengthened it. Her wheelchair wasn't a symbol of limitation, but a testament to her independence. As a caretaker for her sick mother, Sarah balanced her life between her own challenges and the responsibilities of family. It was a quiet afternoon when Sarah parked her car in an accessible spot outside a local supermarket. The sun was high, casting long shadows across the nearly empty lot. The world around her seemed calm, but inside, Sarah carried the usual weight of her daily routine. Her car was a Lifeline, a reliable vehicle equipped with special modifications like hand controls and a ramp to accommodate her wheelchair. Today was no different from countless other trips to the store. Her mission was simple: pick up her mother's medication and return home. But as she sat in her car, mentally preparing for the task, a growing sense of unease crept over her. She brushed it aside, focusing instead on the to-do list in her mind. That's when she noticed a police car pulling up beside her. A white officer in his early 30s stepped out. His uniform was crisp, his posture rigid, and his expression unreadable. Sarah felt her heartbeat quicken as he approached her car. "Ma'am, you're parked in a no parking zone. This area is for customers only," he said, rapping on her window with a curt knock. Sarah blinked, momentarily stunned by his abrupt tone. She rolled down the window, her voice steady but polite. "Officer, I'm parked here because I have a disability. I need to pick up my mother's medication. This is an accessible spot, and I have every right to park here." The officer's frown deepened. His eyes scanned her car, and his posture stiffened even further. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered, ignoring her explanation. Sarah's heart raced. "I can't," she replied firmly. "I'm disabled. I have mobility issues." Her words only seemed to fuel his irritation. Without warning, he yanked the car door open, his hand gripping her arm. Fear surged through Sarah as she clung to her wheelchair, her voice trembling. "Please stop, I told you. I'm disabled." The commotion began to draw attention. Shoppers paused mid-step, their curiosity piqued by the escalating scene. Some started recording with their phones, their expressions a mix of shock and disbelief. A young black man in the crowd stepped forward, his voice shaking with anger. "Yo, she's disabled. Why are you treating her like this?" he demanded. The officer turned his glare to the man. "Step back." He barked, his grip on Sarah unrelenting. Sarah's body trembled as she tried to resist, but her strength was no match for the officer's force. Her wheelchair, the very thing that gave her independence, remained in the car, abandoned. She felt exposed and powerless, the weight of the moment crushing her spirit. Amid the chaos, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. With trembling hands, she pulled it out and saw a message from her sister, Aisha. "I'm on my way. Stay calm. Everything will be fine." Aisha was not just her sister, she was her fiercest advocate. As a prominent civil rights lawyer, Aisha had spent years fighting cases of police misconduct and discrimination. Knowing that Aisha was on her way gave Sarah a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. The crowd continued to grow, their murmurs growing louder. Another voice rang out, a middle-aged woman with a firm tone. "This is wrong. She's disabled. You can't treat her like this." But the officer seemed impervious to the growing disapproval. His grip tightened as Sarah pleaded, her voice breaking. "Please, I'm not resisting. I just can't move the way you want me to." Then, from the back of the crowd, a woman in a sharp business suit stepped forward. Her presence was commanding, her expression resolute. "Officer, is there a problem here?" she asked, her voice calm but authoritative. The officer hesitated, momentarily thrown off by her assertive tone. "This woman is refusing to comply. She's in violation of parking regulations," he said, his voice defensive. The woman raised an eyebrow, "Do you know who this is?" she asked, her words deliberate. The officer blinked, clearly confused. "No, ma'am," he replied. "This is Sarah Thomas," the woman announced, her voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Her sister is Aisha Thomas, a top attorney for a major civil rights organization. If you don't release her immediately, you'll be answering to her and the entire legal system." The officer's face paled, his grip on Sarah loosened, and he stepped back, uncertainty and guilt etched into his expression. The woman turned to Sarah and gently helped her back into her car. "You're safe now," she said softly before addressing the crowd. "Record everything. Don't let this go unnoticed." By the time Aisha arrived, the officer had already left, but the incident was far from over. The footage captured by bystanders spread rapidly on social media, igniting a firestorm of outrage. News outlets picked up the story, turning Sarah into a powerful symbol of resistance against injustice. Sarah, with Aisha by her side, didn't stop there. They filed a formal complaint, demanding accountability not only for the officer's actions, but for the systemic issues that allowed such behavior to persist. The incident became a rallying cry, drawing attention to the intersection of race, disability, and police misconduct. Sarah's courage inspired thousands, proving that even in the face of injustice, one voice could spark a movement. If Sarah's story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to Unfolded Tales Explained and press the bell icon for more stories that demand to be heard.